May these thoughts and views be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord and my Redeemer. According to biblical historian John Barton, and I quote, "The story of Job has its origins from the Persian period in the early writing of the Bible, and tells the story of a man persecuted by an adversary. Job listened to many kindly devil's advocates who would gladly test his piety. The main body of the book is a dialogue between Job and his three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, plus an interjection by a fourth character, Elihu. The story is similar to a Greek tragedy of Aeschylus. Each friend serves as a set piece to the drama. After each narrative element in the drama, the main characters seek evidence of Job's secret sin or sins. Job replies, yet does not directly answer what his friends have said in one quotation. Job seems to parody a psalm. What are human beings that we are mindful of them? Mortals that you care for them. That's from Psalm 8. What are human beings that you make so much of them, that you set your mind on them? Visit them every morning and test them every moment. Again, this is from Job 7. Where the psalmist marvels at God's creation of the human condition, Job complains that he takes an obsessive and unwelcome interest in it. The topic of discussion throughout is why Job, an evidently innocent and pious man, is suffering with bouts of illness, degradation, and scorn. The friends propose answers to this conundrum that are in line with their line of thought. Following the general tenor of many proverbs, Job must have been more sinful than it seems. Is not your wickedness great? This is the salient inference of his friends during their questioning and commenting. I would like to briefly explore the character of the questioner Bildad. The literary character in time became noted as a character in Melville's classic Moby Dick. Indeed, Melville created one of the pious scenes in his tale as the Nantucket shipmaster and ship owner, Bildad, safely sheltered in his wigwam made of whalebone, signed on crew members for as little money as possible. In Moby Dick, this Quaker who followed the sea with a vengeance, much like the biblical namesake, Melville used this character to illustrate the truth of Frederick Douglass's observation that the most brutal slave owners were the most devout. In the biblical story, Bildad was certainly hard-hearted as he imagined that Job must have done something awful to bring on his punishment. Finally, the climax of the biblical tale is an appearance of God in which God sarcastically tells Job that he knows nothing since he is so puny compared to the power of the Creator. Where are you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Now tell me if you have understanding. Who determined the measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched a line upon it? On what and where are the bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? Then when the morning stars sang together, and all the heavenly beings shouted with joy. That's from Job 38, 4-7. But God also restores Job to health and blessing, and cryptically announces that Job has spoken what is right, whereas his friends have not. The book thus remains enigmatic, yet a literal inspiration for writers like Herman Melville, Joseph Conrad, and my Quaker friend John de Hartog. Now, who is Jan de Hartog? Well, he was a wonderful boatman, born and raised in Holland, who came to Nantucket, wanted to finish his book, which was called The Captain. And interestingly enough, there was two of my friends on the island who provided lodging so he could finish the book. Joseph Conrad retells a Job-like story while at sea in his full-rigged command, the Otago. As the shipmaster, he encounters a mysterious character who climbs aboard his vessel, while he, as the shipmaster, decides to assume the midnight watch and at the same time defend the honor of his command while allowing this strange guest to remain in the master cabin, hidden away for a fortnight, while allowing this strange guest to eventually escape into the nearby mangrove swamps of the Gulf of Siam. At the end of the tale, Conrad, like the shipmaster, forgives this strange new stowaway who will escape the hands of the law at the end of the tale. Now, getting back to Jan de Hartog, the author of The Captain, by the way, one of my favorite books, and I hope many of you would have read it, has written a masterwork about the struggle between a tugboat skipper and a hidebound Royal Navy officer while working to salvage parts of the merchant ship convoy sailing between Halifax and Murmansk. This is in 1942. It is a study of a Job-like shipmaster who struggles with a Bildad adversary who claims to be in command of all things. Even though Herinxma, the Dutch commodore, is ultimate authority of all ocean tugs and Icelandic northern waters, he had a set to with the commander of the convoys, and the British convoy commander objected to a Dutch message to the British fleet commander, all under extreme duress and continued submarine attack. The uncoded message from the Dutch tug was, "Go to hell." The interview that followed is found in one of the interesting chapters of the book. Commodore Herinxma and Fleet Commander Mashpee, and I quote, "You see, Captain, from the word go in Scapa Flow, you have, it seems to me, labored under the misconception that you or someone appointed by you could usurp my ultimate authority as master of this vessel and fleet. I try to convey to you by my signal that I am not going to let myself be pushed around by any navy, be it Lithuanian, Yemenite, or British." To this, Mashpee replied, "Oh, how absolutely fascinating. This is a pretty strong language for a junior tug driver addressing the CEO of an escort in the British Royal Navy. Wouldn't you say?" I would, I replied, leaning against the rail again, "if I were the person you described. But you see, Captain, you happen to be on board the largest tugboat in the world, the flagship of the Quell International Tugboat Company. So I, as her master, am in fact Commodore of the Netherlands ocean-going tugboat fleet. Now may I invite you for a drink in my quarters?" As the drama unfolds, I again use the previous narrative to interpret my own subchapter from the story of Job. I recommend the previous works of all who use the Bible as an interesting navigator to learn by. May these thoughts be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord and Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.